So now that we've covered animations, let's talk about the camera. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with the camera. We wanted the camera to be as realistic as possible, and so we gave you some options to be able to do that. Now the first thing to remember is that the viewport is your camera. Okay? If I hit C on the keyboard, or if I come up here to camera settings right here, like that, you'll notice that I have all these camera settings. Now some of them you'll notice are changing based on my orientation or my view. Because I'm moving the camera, it's moving all of these with me, right? But I can come in here and I can change options on the camera, like focal length. I can zoom in and out. That's actually zooming in and out like a lens would, right? I can change the distance. This is like walking back and forth with the camera, okay? I can also change the focal offset. So where do I want it to focus? So for example, if I had a shot, let's say it was like this, and I wanted to add some depth of field, I can make sure that my focal plane, right now it's on auto, which means right in the center here, like right here, it's going to be focused most. You'll see this if I change the f-stop. Let's go to like a 2.4 or something like that. So you'll notice how all of a sudden if I get closer, I have really cool depth of field going on. Okay. Now it's auto-focusing right here in the middle of the screen. It's basically shooting a ray out and looking at this. So I get this really cool focus. Now, if I wanted this shot right here, but I wanted to focus on, let's say up here on the sports bra, I can actually go into the camera, turn off auto, show the focal plane, and now I can move that focal plane to where I want it to be. So let's say I want it to be up here, right there. Okay? So now, if I turn off the focal plane, you'll notice this is blurry and this is in focus. So that makes it really nice and easy to set up your camera exactly how you want with the depth of field, the f-stop, aperture, all that kind of stuff really quickly. I'm going to turn this back to be autofocused, and I'm going to go aperture back to like a 4. There we go. Now that we have looked at that, the other thing that we want to look at is aspect ratio. Now, depending on how you want to render, you might want to change your aspect ratio. So you may want it 16:9. Okay, so if I go 16:9, you'll notice these little black bars come in on the sides of the viewport, right? If I go to 4:3, it's now looking like this. So it shows my rendering, okay, like this, or my viewport. Okay. Now, if I come to 1:1, etc., I have these different ratios. But the key is that all of these, when you render, are based off of the render resolution. So if I go to my render settings, and we'll go over this in just a minute, but if I have 1920 by 1080, but let's say I choose 2000 by 2000. I want to do a 1:1 like this, okay? I'm going to close this, and then I'm going to just close and reopen the camera properties. You'll notice here it says still 2000 by 2000. So I can actually click that, and now my camera view is a 1:1 2000 by 2000, and that's what it's going to render out as. So what you have to make sure is these are just for viewport. These will just make it look like this in the viewport, right? But when you actually want to render something, what you need to do is go into your render settings right here, pick your resolution or type it in, and then use those here in your camera. So we'll go back to the 2000 by 2000, okay? So that's really the key with the camera. So now that I have my camera all set up, I have my viewport and all this stuff is all good, I want to go into visual effects really quick. Now, visual effects are some things that will really help kind of sell the image. So let's go back into this HDR scene. Oops. Go back to HDR here. Let's click on it. I'm going to do like night quarry, like this. Okay, and then I'm going to turn lighting. Let's leave the lighting on here. Now, I can change stuff like the intensity of the background, right? So maybe I don't want it quite as intense. I could even rotate the background if I wanted to change the lighting a little bit. But what I want to do is add some effects on here. So I'm going to hit C on the keyboard to go to the Visual Effects tab. Now, I can turn on bloom, and now I'm going to start getting kind of this little bloom from the sunlight there. Let me turn lighting off so that you can really see it. So now I'm starting to get this bloom, so you can see what that looks like, that bloom on the lens, okay? That bloom allows me to also add some lens flare. Now, you barely need anything, like 0.1, but this lens flare is now fully live. You can see that, okay? I can change the exposure if I wanted to, so I could make it darker or lighter if I wanted to. But I can also add in some chromatic aberration. Now, this is kind of one of those photography things, but it really makes your images look like they're coming out of a camera. What it means is you get a little bit of a fringe on the render, so it looks like the blue on this side and red on the other side, and that's just due to like what the distortion on the lens looks like. I could also vignette the image like this, so you can do all this kind of stuff in your camera that's really fun and really helps sell the image as well. So play around with that, have a great time with the camera, and that should give you enough ammo to get going.